Hello, everyone. We are now entering the second half of the unit where we will be talking about immigration from the 1920s to the 1980s. So, in 1917, mid-World War I, xenophobia reaches new highs on the eve of American involvement in World War I. The Immigration Act of 1917 establishes a literacy requirement for all immigrants entering the country and halts immigration from most Asian countries. In 1924, we see limitations on immigration. The Immigration Act of 1924 limits the number of immigrants allowed into the United States yearly through nationality quotas. Under the new quota system, the United States issues immigration visas to 2% of the total number of people of each nationality in the United States at the 1890 census. The law favors immigration from Northern and Western European countries, just three countries. Great Britain, Ireland, and Germany account for 70% of all available visas. Immigration from Southern, Central, and Eastern Europe was limited. The act completely excludes immigrants from Asia aside from the Philippines, then an American colony. In 1939, the U.S. turns away Jewish refugees. November 1938, Kristallnacht, a state organized pogrom known as the Night of Broken Glass, left Jewish businesses, homes, and places of worship in shambles. They were destroyed. Many Jewish people left Germany and Nazi occupied territory looking for refuge in the Americas. The U.S. officially rejected the refugees on the MS St. Louis. Of the nearly 700 refugees, 30% were killed during the Holocaust. And here we see a woman who was denied entry in Havana is seen crying surrounded by her children aboard the MS St. Louis in June 1939. 1942, World War II is underway. Labor shortages during World War II prompt the United States and Mexico to form the Bracero program, which allows Mexican agricultural workers to enter the United States temporarily. The program lasts until 1964. 1948, the World War II aftermath. The United States passes the nation's first refugee and resettlement law to deal with the influx of Europeans seeking permanent residence in the United States after the destruction of World War II. 1952 is the end of the exclusion of Asians. The McCarran-Walter Act formally ends the exclusion of Asian immigrants to the United States. However, immigrants from Great Britain, Ireland, and Germany were allotted two-thirds of the 154,657 spots available each year. 1954, we see some conflicting policies. As American men returned from war, they found Mexicans were doing their former jobs. The United States government began mass deportations of the same Mexican workers they asked to come on the Bracero program back to Mexico. They called the program Operation Wetback. Surprisingly, the Bracero program was still running and taking in new Mexicans to work while they were still deporting the others. This is the second mass deportation in U.S. history at this point, both of which targeted Mexicans. From the 1960s to the 1980s, we see Cold War immigration. The United States admits roughly 38,000 immigrants from Hungary after failed uprising against the Soviets. They are among the first Cold War refugees. The United States would admit over 3 million refugees during the Cold War, including from Cuba. So, from 1960 to 1962, we see the acceptance of Cuban refugees. 1961, the US used recently arrived Cuban refugees to stage a failed invasion of Cuba. Thousands of refugees were arrested, and hundreds were executed by the Cuban government. Roughly 14,000 unaccompanied children flee Fidel Castro's Cuba and come to the United States as part of a secret anti communism program called Operation Peter Pan. In 1965, we see immigration reform. The Immigration and Nationality Act overhauls the American immigration system. The act ends the national origin quotas enacted in the 1920s, which favored some racial and ethnic groups over others. The quota system is replaced with a 7 category preference system, emphasizing family reunification and skilled immigrants. Upon signing the new bill, President Lyndon B. Johnson called the old immigration system un American and said the new bill would correct a cruel and enduring wrong in the conduct of the American nation. Over the next 5 years, immigration from war torn regions of Asia, including Vietnam and Cambodia, would more than quadruple. Family reunification became a driving force in U.S. immigration policy. In 1986, we see large scale amnesty. During the 70s and 80s, large scale political arrest in Latin America drove millions of migrants to the United States. President Ronald Reagan signs into law the Simpson Mazzoli Act, which grants amnesty to more than 3 million immigrants living illegally in the United States. This act introduced civil and criminal penalties for employers who knowingly hired undocumented immigrants or individuals unauthorized to work in the United States. This is when companies began checking social securities of their employees. So that is the end of this lesson. We're now at the 1980s, and soon we will come to the 2010s. Have a good day.